All right, I'm going to show you guys how I do my pho. It's definitely different than most of the other people on YouTube. A lot of pho recipes are going to use a beef broth or, water, and then you add some kind of beef bouillon to it. Me personally, I like chicken broth to make my pho with. So I'm going to show you how you make that. And then for our meat, we're going to use pork tenderloin. I've got it seasoned with Tony's. You can use whatever seasoning you like. We're gonna cook it on the grill. We're gonna cook it rare, so about 6 minutes on each side, and then we'll slice it up thin to put on top of our noodles. As far as how I make the broth, 2 cans of chicken broth. These are 2 50-ounce cans. Do 1/3 cup fish sauce. We're gonna do 1 cinnamon stick, 2 bay leaves, a teaspoon of coriander seed, teaspoon of fennel seed, 2 star anise, and then for flavor, add some black pepper or some salt and some cayenne. Just add however much you want for flavor. We're gonna do 1 onion, 2 cloves of garlic, and then about a 2 to 2.5 inch long piece of ginger. And then a little bit of brown sugar. Well, a little bit more than a little. A heaping tablespoon of brown sugar. And then we're also gonna have 4 soft boiled eggs to go on top. As far as noodles, you can use whatever noodles you want. I use these stir-fry rice noodles. They're easy to get where I'm at, so that's why I use those noodles. All right, let's get to cooking. All right, we're gonna start on our broth here. First thing we're gonna do, take 1 onion. I want a little bit of onion for myself for the top garnish, so I'm gonna slice it thin. And then the rest of it I'll just cube up and throw right into my broth. Onion up thin, just enough to top mine. Nobody else here really likes onion on top of theirs. And then as far as time goes to make this dish, between your prep and your cooking and everything, you're looking at about an hour to an hour and a half to make this dish. So about 1/4 of an onion sliced thin is going to be enough for me to have my garnish. And then the rest of it, we're just going to chunk it up, throw it right in our pot. You can chunk it up really however you want. And then we're going to take our 2 cloves of garlic, just kind of crack them a little bit. We don't want to break them up too much. That way, when we strain this out, it's easy to strain out. And we're going to add our 2 chicken broths. Whoa, those onions were a little on the strong side. Throw 2 bay leaves in there. We are going to do our fish sauce. A 1/3 cup. And of course, the fish sauce that I get the top doesn't come off. Well, it comes off, but if I pop it off, it's not going back on. So I just gotta sit here and shake it. So there is our 1/3 cup of fish sauce. And then do our heaping tablespoon of brown sugar. And then just a splash of cayenne pepper. Same thing with the black pepper. Just a couple shakes of black pepper in there. So that's ready to go on the stove. Now the other things we got to do, 1 piece of cinnamon, 1 stick of cinnamon, throw it in the pan. We're gonna have to brown this stuff up. The reason why we do that is by getting some heat to it and browning it up, it will actually open up the pores so we get more flavor out of everything. So we got our 1 cinnamon stick, 1 teaspoon of coriander, 1 teaspoon of fennel seed. And we're gonna do our 2 star anise. And then we'll go ahead and we'll toast those. What I do with my ginger here, if I can get it set to where I can hold it and cut it, I cut it just right down the middle. And I've got a gas stove, so we'll go ahead and we'll toast these. We'll get these toasted, we'll toast this, and then we'll throw it right in there. And then we'll cook it for, you cook it anywhere from half an hour to an hour. The longer you cook it, the more flavor. It just depends on how big of a hurry you're in. Okay, we got everything on the stove. We're gonna get our broth up to boil, and then we're gonna turn it down to a simmer. We got our ginger there getting toasted. As soon as it's ready, we'll throw it in the broth, and then we'll toast up the rest of our seasonings, and then it'll go into the broth. All right, our ginger's nice and toasted. Just drop it right on in our broth. And then we're gonna basically just do a light toast on our coriander seeds and our star anise and our cinnamon and our fennel. You don't have to go crazy with it, just as soon as it kind of browns up, it's ready. And I just pour them straight on in there. We're done with that pan. All right, now that our broth's going, we're gonna get everything set up on the grill, get it fired up and warmed up, and get to cooking our pork. Okay, so we got our broth up to the boil. Now we just got simmering. We got our grill going. And then our water for our noodles, all I do is I throw my 4 eggs in that I'm gonna go ahead and soft boil. I'll bring that up to a boil. As soon as it's boiling, I'll leave those eggs in there for about 5 minutes. I'll pull them out, I'll throw them on ice, and I'll let the water continue to boil, because that's what I'm gonna throw my noodles in. That way I don't have to, you know, redo another pan with water boiling for, you know, my noodles. I can just do it all at once. So we'll be back in just a little bit. All right, our eggs have been boiling for about 5 minutes. We're gonna pull them right out. Just set them on some ice. And then we're gonna throw our noodles in for about 6 minutes. And then we're gonna go check on our pork on the grill, and should be eating here pretty quick. Okay, so here's our pork tenderloin. Basically want a nice char on the outside and a rare cook on the inside. All right, our noodles are done, so I'm gonna strain them out. And then these rice noodles, I always take some lukewarm water after I strain them out and I rinse them off. That way they're not all sticky in my bowl when I go to eat. All right, we'll set these aside, and as soon as our loin's done, we're almost ready to eat. All right, our broth's all done, so we're gonna strain out all of our seasonings. I just got a fine mesh strainer here, and we're gonna strain it out right into this other pot. And then we're gonna put it right back on the stove so we can get it boiling hot again, and it'll be ready to finish cooking our pork. All right, there's our pork. About 6 minutes on each side. We got a nice char on both sides. Now we're just gonna slice it thin. As you can see, we're about a medium rare on the pork. I don't like it too rare because I don't have my broth up to like a super boil. Sometimes it doesn't get it cooked. It's about a medium rare to rare is about perfect. And I can hit it with that broth and it'll finish cooking it. So that's about what she looks like. Now by doing it this way, I get that nice kind of barbecue smoky flavor in my meat and just totally changes the dish. I don't know if you can hear my dryer going in the background, but it sounds like my kids must have took some rocks home again in their clothes, because I can hear them clunking around in the dryer in the background. And if you got little boys, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if they play anywhere that's got sand or rocks, they bring them home. Their shoes, pockets, pretty much anywhere where they can put rocks. All right, we'll see how our eggs turned out. Really like that soft boiled egg, but sometimes it's kind of hard to get them perfect. Nope. Cooked these ones about 2 minutes too long. That's all right. Really like it when it's a perfect kind of jello center, but like I said, God, getting that perfect timing, it's just hard sometimes, but this is reality. All right, we're gonna make our dish here. Oh yeah, this is gonna be good. Nice thing about doing it at home, I don't have to make it look restaurant style perfect. I like quite a bit of meat on mine. Put my onions on top. I do like a fair amount of onions on mine. All right, now we're gonna put our nice boiling broth right on the top of this bad boy. Oh yeah. Now I like mine some garlic chili sauce. So I will usually put a little on each one of my eggs. All right, she's all ready to eat. Looks amazing, smells amazing. A little bit of noodle, a little bit of that charbroiled pork. Mmm. Cooking that pork on the grill, so you get that grilled smoky kind of charbroiled outer edge. Just it's just a different, totally different flavor. And then those hard-boiled eggs, a little bit of chili sauce on them. That's it. That broth is spot on. All right, I'm gonna go sit down in my favorite chair and finish this meal.